Coming up in part 3, we brave motorhome hell for the sake of some good kayaking and fail miserably. And after a sleepless night, continue on to a quieter location. We explore more small fishing towns and explore old factory ruins from a bygone era. Finally, we wave goodbye to the northern coast of Spain and proceed on to the west coast. Okay, so we just pulled off the motorway for a little break in a rest area. You see across the road there we've got the sign for the Provincia of Asturias, and I think we've just crossed over into province of Cantabria. So we've got here the Puente de los Santos, Bridge of the Saints, and I understand this road and this path through here is actually part of the El Camino de Santiago. Lovely view here. We've got a boat coming through here along the estuary out to sea. Nice, lovely little rest area down here. Looks like some ruins over there of some sort of old factory or loading bays. You can see like a train rail that comes out to the sea and just suddenly stops, so I don't know if they used to load there at some point in the past. Don't really know. Okay, so we're going to have a quick break and then we're going to move on. This isn't our final destination and we're a little way from it at the minute. Okay, we've come to a final decision on the stop. As you can probably hear from the camera, it's quite windy here. We considered some choices which are sort of right on the cliffs, but the wind being how it is, we decided against it. Also, this is a good area. We're more likely to get a good night's sleep. The more popular areas, or the ones that are more likely to be, with good viewpoints and popular for tourists, they're the types of places you get people turning up at 11:15 at night and start banging around. And even now, I mean, it's still a nice place, I'll just spin you around. Views of farmlands on the edge of a little village. There's a good chance we're going to get this to ourselves tonight and we'll get some sleep. Good morning and welcome back. Today is day 15 of our Northern Spain adventure and we're at a place, or near a place called Ribidio. I think that's right, I'll write it up in the description. Anyway, we had a good night's sleep. It was a bit windy yesterday, so we decided not to go on a sort of a coastal view. And also, the more popular points, you've got people coming and going a lot of them come late at night and disturb you. So we decided we want a good night's sleep, which is what we managed to get. We had a really good night's sleep here last night. And even though we're not on the waterfront, as you can see, if I spin you around, it's a nice place. We're in the countryside, and I think probably now in the background, you can actually probably see the sea there in the background. So we're not miles away from the sea. So yeah, it's really nice here and we had a good night's sleep. So the plan today we're going to go to these coastal points. There's several coastal points marked on the maps and Park for the Night app, which meant to have good views. The wind's dropped. So I'm going to whip along there and stop a few times to try and find somewhere with good internet reception. I want to get some work done on the laptop and maybe upload a video because that's something we're struggling with at the minute. It's one thing is paying for the data, which is fair enough, on a hotspot. But then if you haven't got a good upload speed, or it keeps breaking up, it's just not going to work. So you're just wasting data for no reason. So the aim is find a nice spot, do some work. There is plenty of work I can do editing, which I don't need internet connection. So if I can't get a good internet connection, I can do that. I can catch up with my editing. But really, I want to upload at least one video to you guys, so there's not going to be a month's break in my video footage of places. Okay then, so we're going to go pack up all the motorhome and prepare to move. Good morning and welcome back. Today's day 16 of our Northern Spain adventure. Yesterday in the end we didn't do a great deal. We went and checked out those few places that we were talking about before. They were quite busy, all the tracks down to one or two were really to go for motorhome and too narrow, weren't really suitable. So we ended up coming back to where we parked the night before, purely because we'd got a really good night's sleep and it was really quiet. Unfortunately, some other people had other ideas. Shot there. Turned up at 11:45. Today we're not doing much either. We're going to have our showers because we've got a service point nearby, and then we'll fill up with water again, empty our wastes. We're going to go to the supermarket, just get a few bits and bobs, and then we're off to a place called Foz, spelled F-O-Z. There's meant to be good kayaking to be had there, and we've got about 2 or 3 days of good weather before the rain sets in. So we're going to see if we can get over there, check that campsite out, which looks a bit busy, but it might be worth tolerating it for a few nights just to have the kayaking. So what I'll do is we're going to get on, and I'll bring you back in when I've got something else to show you. Okay, so we finally arrived at our next stop. It's quite nice. We're at the town of Foth. We're on the outskirts in a recreation area, which you're allowed to park in for 48 hours. Unfortunately, as you can see, we're in motorhome hell. And you can see what we're about 2 deep behind the white one straight in front. But I can't see it on the camera. But I'm sure we can put up with it for a couple of nights if we can get some kayaking in. It's looking pretty good. Okay, you can just about see Hobbit there. So we're going to back up to motorhome, chill out. I'm going to try and enhance my calm and prepare myself for a night of screaming kids, barking dogs, and a couple of Spanish people making the same noise as 50. Good morning and welcome back. Today is day 17 of our Northern Spain adventure. We should be kayaking this morning, but it just isn't going to happen. We expected the last place to be noisy at night, but it exceeded that by far. It finally quieted down about 3 in the morning. What we're going to do is have a little change of strategy. We've decided and come to the conclusion that what makes nice places to visit and nice viewpoints and that isn't necessarily the best place to stop and get a good night's sleep. So we're thinking we're going to visit the spots but then move away inland or to somewhere which probably isn't quite as attractive but a lot quieter. Hence where we are now. Okay, so the view is still beautiful and the lighthouse in the distance, a couple of islands. But as you can see, as you move around it starts to get a little bit industrial. So I think we're going to try here tonight. Now, we're tired and really we could do with just having another sleep, but we don't want to be cooped up in the motorhome. It's a lovely day. And we want to go out and get some fresh air. So I think we're going to get the bicycles off. We're probably going to visit that lighthouse over there and have a look over there. And there's a trail up towards the rear here which seems to follow the coast around, which goes by these wind generators here. So we may go and have a little explore. Afraid we're not going to take you along this morning. We're tired, we're going to bike. I can't be bothered with filming, sorry. If it is anything good, we'll do a repeat tomorrow and we'll take you along on that occasion. Okay then, so I'll speak to you later. Good morning and welcome back. Today's day 18 of our Northern Spain adventure. Guess what? We got a decent night's sleep. We had a late arrival last night, about 10:15, but it wasn't the end of the world. He sort of parked there behind us in that corner near the stonework. Today we feel a bit better. Like I say, you can't catch up 2 bad nights sleep in one night, but we do feel a lot better today. We feel like going out and doing something. We'd got to the point where we were thinking if it's going to be like this all the way along and we can't get a decent night's sleep, we've got people, we consider people bothering us all the time, we might as well just go home and sit in front of the air conditioning for a fortnight until the weather cools down. But now we feel a bit better and a bit more optimistic this morning, so we are going to go for a little bike ride. We're just going to go along the cliff tops because we've failed to do an actual coastal ride up to now. There hasn't been anywhere that have really got any coastal paths. So I found a few little paths that might be okay, so we're going to have a little look along there and see what's what, and this morning we will take you along with us. And we're off. I'll put a pin on Google Maps from the start point. It's the car park on an industrial estate on the outskirts of the town. I'll write in the name of the town afterwards. I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. Okay, so we're on our way and we're going to go down to this small town and then try and find the path along the coast and hopefully get a good coastal ride. I understand there's a bit of a big ugly patch up that way as well, but we'll see what we can do about that. Okay, we're coming up to the town. Got a nice small little town, seems to have everything here. I suspect there's probably some industry at some point here in the past, or probably still is. Nevertheless, it's very pretty down by the harbour and down by the little beaches. Probably not going to pass that way today, but I think I've got some old footage I'll put on. Okay, this is going to take a little while because we keep stopping and starting to check the map. I did a map route and put it in bicycle on Google Maps, but it wanted to take me around the roadway, which is unusual. Normally when I'm in the motorhome it wants to take me down every single narrow lane it can find, but anyway, we've had to work out a route, go and see all these little places along the way. Okay, so we're going down to look at an old factory. after all that trying to mark things out on the map and everything, it's actually signposted, so not a problem. Okay, and this must be the old factory. Upon arrival, and at first glance, after seeing the chimney, I instantly assumed this must be a foundry. As it turned out, this factory had absolutely nothing to do with foundries, and turned out to be an industry far more common to Galicia. Okay, this is a nice little spot. So here we are, looks like a little bit of an estuary in from the sea. Still taking some getting used to now. I believe it's the Atlantic Sea. We've got a tide coming in and out, of course, which we always had back in England, but living in Spain for so long near the Mediterranean, the sea doesn't really go in and out much. So it's still a bit strange to see. Now we've got some sort of ruin here. I'll look it up later for you and write in what it was. Sort of foundry of some sort, I suspect. The lights in to light it up at night, but it looks great at night. This factory was actually used for salting sardines. The process actually involved soaking the sardines for a period of time and then compressing the fat and oils out of the sardines ready for packing. The sardines were then packed into wooden barrels for transportation. The whole process from start to finish was actually taken care of on this site, including having a separate workshop to make the wooden barrels. It turns out this was a pretty big business on the coastal areas of Galicia, something I was completely unaware of before I did my research. As you can hear, I was completely clueless at the time. That's strange. Chimney there for some reason, but it looks like something flows through and out of there, through here and into that building, so I don't know. Like I say, I'll look it up later for you. Apparently, the preserving of fish in salt is a very old process dating back to the early 1700s to this particular part of Spain. However, it didn't really start being done on a large scale commercial level until the 1800s. I suspect the barbs you see here were the part of the process where the sardines were soaked in salt water, prior to being pressed and packed in wooden barrels ready for transportation. Strange, some sort of bass or something. This was a very interesting place and a fairly well preserved ruin. It was definitely worth the visit. Okay, get back to Anthea's waiting over there. We'll get back on the bikes. I'll check the route to the next place I plan to go. We're going to try and avoid the roads and try and see if we can find a reasonable trail along the cliff tops. We'll see how it goes. Okay, we're on our way. I think Anthea's guessed what it is. She's just says, oh, but it's for making salt. And that makes sense. You know, when the tide's high, the water would come up, they'd gather the water, they'd cook off, evaporate the water out of it, leaving the salt behind in the salt baths. That sounds about right what we're looking at, but like I say, we'll have a check later and I'll get you a bit of history on it. Okay, so we're continuing on. Not really sure what we're going to go and see next, but there's definitely a cliff top sort of trail along here, so I'll bring you back in when we've got something interesting to show you. So we've got the factory coming up. Don't know if it's still active, or I'll write something in later, let you know what it is and what it does. Meant to be a little beach down here. Okay, we're at the junction here. We'll go and have a look at the beach, but I've got a feeling we'll be coming back out on this road. Okay, so the factory is definitely active. There's a lovely little beach down here, but I'm not sure many people will want to bathe on it with the factory in the background there. Little island from the opposite direction. Okay, I think we're going to try and find a route out and try and get the other side of this. Let's consult the map again. I've had a quick look, I've got a rough idea, but I'll have another quick look before we set off. Also along this route, going to look for potential motorhome stops as well. Okay, there seems to be a trail at the end of this car park, so we'll see if it takes us round. Okay, this trail seems to follow the railway lines. Railway lines are shiny, so they still look like they're in use. We'll trim back. Nothing to stop animals from wandering on there though. Okay, we'll carry on along this track so we can find the coast again. Okay, we've come out next to another factory or something. And there's a road up ahead, so it looks like we'll be taking the road for a while. Okay, looks like we've come up to the next factory. Okay, so we've turned around, we're back on the main road again. Anthea's starting to get a bit sore, so we're going to start making our way back.
As it turned out, this whole area was devoted to the production of aluminium.
Okay, that seemed to have brought us round back quite quick.
Unfortunately, we still failed to find a coastal trail.
And we're back at the turn where we went to see the factory.
Despite this was still a nice little ride, and this little fishing town was absolutely beautiful.
Okay, and so we come to the end of our bike ride. A bit of a short one this time. I hope you enjoyed it.
And so we spent the afternoon relaxing in anticipation of our journey the next day.
Good morning and welcome back. Today is day 19 of our Northern Spain adventure. We're parked at the same spot. I'll put the name of the place in later. I won't even try and pronounce it. We had a good night's sleep again, pretty much. We were waking up the early hours, sort of, well, not early hours, but it's about 7 o'clock this morning by someone starting the engine and moving on. But rather than that, than being woken up at 12:30. We've got a neighbour, but he's been no bother. Hardly heard a peep out of him, so good neighbours. And we had another sort of a van lifer type park nearby, but they did come a bit later than would be ideal, but they went straight to bed and they didn't make a lot of racket, so they were no real bother either. Anyway, we're moving on today. It's nice here. We were thinking of going and doing a bit of kayaking, but you can't hear it on the camera, but we can. The sea's got rougher. We had a bit of a storm last night and it hasn't really settled down, so it's not going to be kayaking weather, especially on strange waters that we don't know the currents or anything about it really. So we're going to move on further along. We're going to go a bit further along the northern coast. I'll let you know what the place is called later. And just go along a bit, try and top up on water and empty our wastes. And stop just a bit further along and explore a bit further along. Very soon we're going to start to go down the west coast. So this is probably going to be the last one or maybe two stops along the northern coast. Okay, so we're going to go start getting packed up. We've had a breakfast. It's very quiet this morning. It's Saturday morning, so we're going to get packed up and start moving on.
This was the first and last time we actually sat in traffic throughout the whole trip, even including Madrid, and even then it was only for a matter of minutes.
Okay, so we've just made a quick stop for a little bit of dinner. We're just past the port town of Ortigueira. We've travelled about as far as we're going to along the northern coast. We could carry on up to the very tip, but it takes us off major roads and maybe busy. We don't really know what to expect. And we're a bit northern coasted out now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and check out a rest area around the corner, which is meant to have shade in the river nearby. We may do an overnight there. We'll check it out. But after that, we're going to cut across to the western coast to a place I think is called Ferrol. So yeah, we've had our dinner. We've been through some amazing little towns and ports, which under normal circumstances we would have liked to have stopped in, but being as it's in season, it's really busy. And I'm sorry, folks, we just don't do busy. So we had to just go straight through and take some footage. Okay, so we're going to get packed up again, get off, go see if we can find this rest point, and when we get there, if it's any good, we'll bring you back in.
In the end, we didn't stop at the rest area. Anthea wasn't really ready to stop, and I was quite happy to do the driving. So we pressed on to try and get south of La Coruna and check out some parking spots that way. Unfortunately, this decision did end up biting us in the arse a bit. It took about 3 attempts to find a parking space, and even then it wasn't that great.
Good morning and welcome back to our Northern Spain adventure. Welcome back to Northern Spain, and also welcome to the second worst place we've stopped on our journey. This location wasn't actually our first choice, it was our third and an emergency choice at that. The first place we wanted to try was a picnic area which was sort of north of Coruña. We checked that out, got near it, looked like a narrow entrance and we could hear very loud music down there, so that was a bust and moved on. We then decided that we're going to have to travel quite a distance to get south of the major cities because we don't want to be camping near cities. So we got south of La Coruna and checked a second point. We got set up there, it looked quite good, nice and quiet. But then we had kids, when I say kids, not children, but you know, teenagers, older teenagers, early 20s, messing about with fireworks nearby. So I thought, yeah, as soon as they realised there's a motorhome here, we're going to have a firework underneath the motorhome. So I thought, yeah, we'll give that one a miss as well. So then we had to use a method which we've used in the past to try and find a location nearby without travelling too far, which is you look for possibly a cemetery or parking area somewhere, a football this is, and then you go on to, you do it with Google Maps, then you go on to Google Street and have a look at the photos and see what it's like. This wasn't ideal, it's quite nice, near to a busy road. There was a market scene on it as well, so we thought, I hope it's not a Sunday market, which is today's Sunday, which it isn't. Hopefully we weren't going to have market stalls setting up next to us, but we were lucky on that respect, I suppose. But it looks fairly innocent. Now I'll spin you around. It looks quite a good area. You've got a road there, but we're quite away from it. But it turns out, you know, for a little village, it's a very busy road. I mean, I hadn't seen a living soul around here. Nobody walking around or anything. And I thought, well, it's just a normal road. It'll quieten down by about 12 o'clock. No, it didn't. Cars go through a hell of a rate about every 10 minutes, all through the night. So we hardly had a quiet time. I suspect probably it was made worse. If you see behind, we've got the motorhome and we've got this big wall there. Maybe the sound of the noise on the road hit this wall and bounced back onto the caravan. I don't know, but it certainly sounded loud in the night. Plus, we've got the normal Spanish dogs in the background going on and off through most of the night as well. So we didn't get much sleep, but we did sleep later to try and catch up and make up the sleep. Anyway, today we're moving on. The plan was we were going to go to Santiago de Compos. I'll put it in a minute. I can't remember the name of it. But we were going to pass through that and then we were going to go on to Orense. But after checking the weather last night, it turns out that it's inland and a bit more south. It's still too hot. It's about 33 in the day. So we don't want that. So change of plan. We're going to go over to Santiago. And then we're going to move out to a place near the coast and do a bit of coastline hopping again. Check out a few places, see if we can find somewhere reasonable, and camp there. So we finished, we've all had our breakfast, we're ready, we're up, we're packed, we're ready to go. So we're going to set off on our journey first to Santiago, and then we're going to cut across to what we've seen as a small port, low population, hopefully should be some quiet parking. So we're going to get on our way and I'll bring you back in later, hopefully if we don't have the disasters that we had yesterday. Okay, we've now arrived on the west coast. It took us about an hour. It was a nice journey. Something worth mentioning, which Anthea did mention after I talked about the last place we parked. It was very noisy, but she did point out at no time did we feel unsafe. And that is the number one thing really when you're camping. Once that seed gets planted in your mind that where you're parked might not be safe, it's pointless staying there, because otherwise you're not going to be able to relax and you're not going to get a good night's sleep. So there and then you may as well just pack up and try and find somewhere else. And to be fair to the last place, we didn't feel unsafe. It was just a bit noisy. Okay, so we're on the coast now. We've just stopped quickly. I'll just spin you around. Stop for a quick bacon sandwich. It's not really a suitable point because it's close to the road to stop the night, and we'd probably be in the way of other people. But we've got a couple of places on the map we've seen, and we're going to go and investigate them and see what they're like. It's Sunday in August here, and it doesn't seem excessively busy. So we're thinking if we just find something that works for tonight, even if it's not that great where we can park and probably get a half decent night's sleep, there'll be more opportunities to find better parking tomorrow when it's Monday, and a lot of these people would have gone home. So I think we're going to get packed up again. We've had our sandwiches, and we'll move on to the next points, and if it's interesting I'll bring you back in.
Coming up in part 4, we find a good parking spot next to a beautiful beach, but unfortunately had to leave early due to a lack of motorhome service points. We travelled to the river on the outskirts of Oran in a last ditch attempt to do some kayaking, but eventually give up on our trip of northern Spain and make our way home due to the thoughtlessness of others.